Greetings, I'm Herbert Erpaderp, and our most recent group build has ended. It's time to look at the entries. The topic, as the title of this video might imply, was Scenes from a Film, and it's probably obvious what that entails. Let's check it out. First up, a cool person with shades entered a JU-52 as seen in Where Eagles Dare, the one you see in the images here. The model was built from a 72nd scale Hella kit, and it's been quite well painted. A cool person says it's a very nice kit and makes up into a nice little model, and by the look of it, I'm inclined to agree. They also mentioned that the only problems were self-inflicted. Relatable. The green camo was painted over the white base, all well and good, until a cool person discovered that they'd copied the scheme provided by the instructions, and not the one from the movie. It wasn't mentioned if that mistake was corrected, but if you ask me, that camo does look pretty close to the stills from the movie. I think it's very good. I also appreciate the sheer volume of pictures. A cool person with shades and ice cream's second entry is another plane, this time from Sink the Bismarck. This is a fairy swordfish which has just dropped a torpedo, presumably in order to sink the Bismarck. The model is a matchbox kit, and that's about all the notes tell me. I presume this is in 72nd scale. I think it's quite well done. The model has been painted really nicely. That's obvious when you look at it. I also really like the base. It's another fantastic use of a photo frame border. The positioning of the plane and torpedo are also really effective. This last picture is pretty cool. Get ready to be torpedoed, Bismarck, idiot. Very nicely done. Thesor 2000's entry is from Porco Rosso. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. It's a Savoia S21 seaplane, which is an interesting looking plane in itself. The model is in 72nd scale from Fine Molds, a kit specifically to represent the plane in the movie, which, at a glance, because I'm unfamiliar with it, seems to be about a pig flying a cool plane. I think the model is really well done. I especially like the red. Thesor says they think there's some more work needed on the water effect, but for a first try it's not too bad, and they're glad they made the wooden base. The smaller water base is enough to sell the general idea of a diorama, but it's small enough to not overwhelm the aircraft. The wooden part of the base is more neutral and doesn't take the focus away from the model. I think the water effect is quite good. Anything can be worked on more, but it does give the impression of water spray and speed, and it does look quite similar to the frame from the movie. Also, the base is nice and adds quite a lot, in my opinion. Very cool. Herchion's first entry is entitled Fellowship of the Ring, and you may be surprised to learn that it represents a scene from Fellowship of the Ring. You know, that little indie film Lord of the Rings. In particular, the scene where Gandalf, in his cart, arrives in the Shire for Bilbo's 111th birthday and is met by Frodo. Gandalf on the cart is a metal model from Games Workshop, and Frodo is the closest 3D print Herchion could find. Herchion says that the intent was to use only regular acrylics with careful layering and shading, but medical care cut into time. I know that feeling. So speed paints and paint pens were also used. Nothing wrong with that. It's also mentioned that the scenery for all the entries is cardboard, tissue paper, Mod Podge, and scenics, with backgrounds by John Hodgson of Handiwork Games. Very nicely done. Kinda makes me want to rewatch Lord of the Rings. Herchion's second entry is the Two Towers. It represents the scene where Gimli and Legolas are competing to see how many enemies they can defeat. Gimli is seated on a dead Uruk-hai while they compare tallies in the aftermath of the battle, Gimli winning by 1 point. So Legolas fires an arrow into the orc Gimli is sitting on to even the score. There were no notes on what these figures are. I assume they're Games Workshop metal figures from the Lord of the Rings range, most likely. A very good, well done scene. Entry number 3 from Herchion is The Return of the King, in which Sam and Frodo have disguised themselves as orcs to go deeper into Mordor. They're depicted here on the road to Mount Doom. Herchion mentions that the movie has them dress more completely as orcs than they do in the book, and that's how they're shown here. I guess it is seen from a film, not seen from a book. Very nicely done. I do appreciate the consistency of having 3 Lord of the Rings entries. I'm definitely going to have to watch those again. Anyway, that's all the entries in this group build. I quite enjoyed all of them. Fantastic work. I hope you had fun working on these models. It's always a pleasure to see them on Discord as they progress and take shape, and of course the final results. For those interested, another group build will begin soon. It's currently, at least at the time of speaking words into the microphone, in the figuring out ideas to vote stage, so if you've got a cool idea, better get in quick and suggest it. All group build activity takes place on my Discord server, which is linked below. Thanks to everyone who participated, and of course, an extra big thank you to our mighty group buildsman, Monol. Your work is most appreciated. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section below, though Discord is a better place for group build related questions. Subscribe here if you want to see more of this kind of thing, and if you really like what I do and you want to see videos early, consider supporting on Patreon. There's a link in the description for that too. Take care of yourselves, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.